Hello and welcome, Raiders fans. It's time to get you caught up on the latest buzz with the Silver and Black. I'm Heidi Fang, joined by our Raiders beat writer, Vinny Bonsignore, who has the latest on the ongoing search the Raiders have for a new general manager and head coach. The Raiders reached out for interviews with Brandon Brown from the Giants and Chad Alexander from the Chargers. Among the list of the names that the Raiders have spoken to, have they zeroed in on anyone in particular, Vinny?
The Raiders have a really good list in terms of that general manager's job. I think the name to keep an eye on, though, is John Spytek, Tampa Bay Buccaneers assistant general manager. He worked in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers front office when Tom Brady was there for a couple of years. But also they go back all the way to Michigan. They played together at the University of Michigan. So connect the dots, if you will. And you've got to think about it from this perspective. Still not quite sure when or if Tom Brady is going to be with the Raiders on a day-to-day, basis. He still has obviously his job with Fox TV. He has a number of other business ventures that he's part of. He lives in Florida. So I think it would be incumbent on Tom Brady and for whoever the new head coach is going to be to have somebody that Tom Brady's really close with, a right-hand man, if you will, be in the building on a day-to-day basis. So that's the name that I'm keeping an eye on. It could go in a bunch of different directions, and there are some really good candidates that are on that interview list. But the guy that I'm keeping an eye on is John Spytek from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Of course, they'll do their due diligence, but there's events coming up, like the Senior Bowl, the Combine. How soon would you expect that the Raiders make an announcement on who their head coach is?
Well, I think they've already locked in on their primary candidate. And if you want to throw two of those names into that, that would be Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, and Pete Carroll, the former Seattle Seahawks head coach. I think this is Ben Johnson's job to lose at this point, and nothing ever surprises me in the NFL anymore. But I would be surprised if it's not Ben Johnson, if he doesn't accept what the Raiders ultimately offer. And if that is the case, then you have to wait until the Detroit Lions season is over, whether that's this weekend after the first round of the playoffs. They host the Washington Commanders. If they survive that playoff match, obviously they'll go to the conference championship games a week later on Sunday. And if they survive that, then you have to wait until after the Super Bowl to make that officially official. But the guy that I'm keeping an eye on first and foremost is Ben Johnson, and I think that he's their number one choice. And based on what I'm hearing, I think the Raiders are Ben Johnson's number one choice. A lot of things can change, obviously, but I'd be surprised at this point if it wasn't Ben Johnson as the next Raiders head coach.
We know the Raiders' positions are sought after, but how much do you think Tom Brady's presence has helped candidates to want to come to the franchise, and how much has that influenced their decisions to take those roles?
Just because you ask for permission to talk to somebody per an interview doesn't mean that they're going to acquiesce and sit down and talk to you. In fact, when that invitation was first put out there were people in the NFL who were telling me, I'm not quite sure that Ben Johnson's going to accept that. He has better options out there. Well, he did sit down with him, and now he's the front runner for the job. And that speaks to the influence that Tom Brady is going to have. But I'd be remiss not to also mention, it wasn't just Tom Brady who came on over these last few months to ownership. There's three other people that were also brought on, and all three of them are part of the committee to decide on this next head coach. Those people that are involved in this, I think, are creating a different perception for the Raiders. So if you're Ben Johnson, or if you're Pete Carroll, and you see Tom Brady and the others that have come aboard, there's stability there. There's vision there. And so when you talk about Tom Brady and Tom Wagner and the others that were brought on, there was a vision there from Mark Davis's perspective and the Raiders' perspective to add to that value. And I think you're seeing that already. And when you're picking a new head coach, you're trying to figure out, can this person lead? Can he put a staff together? Can we trust him in terms of those leadership qualities? And having people like that in the room that have built their own empires and their own businesses, and guys that identify leaders from their own perspective for their own businesses, that translates to whatever you're talking about. So having that input in those meetings, I think, is vital.
Great stuff there, Vinny. Thank you so much for all of the insight. Remember, everybody, keep up with all things happening with the Raiders during the offseason at vegasnation.com. That's where we have you covered. He's Vinny Bonsignore. I'm Heidi Fang. Thank you so much for watching.